you? I'm Heather Duncan, and today we're going to be painting this cute little acrylic floral piece using Liquitex acrylic paints, alright? So to get started, I'm going to tell you what supplies you're going to need. I'm using this palette of Liquitex acrylic paints. The colors are listed in the comment section below, so check those out if you want specific colors. I'm also using, let me get it, a flat acrylic brush, okay? This is just a regular student grade brush. It's not super fancy or anything, but it does have a flat tip on it, okay? You could also use an angled tip here. This is a size 10, so about a medium-sized brush, medium to small. I'm using water. I also have acrylic paper. This is Canson acrylic paper, and I'm using this piece of styrofoam for a palette. You could use a paper plate, you could use a regular plate, you could use tinfoil, you could use styrofoam, really anything. Honestly, anything disposable. You don't want to use something that's paper because it will absorb the liquid. So a paper plate that's coated is better, but not just like a regular sheet of paper, okay? And then I have some washi tape and a paper towel, all right? You're also going to need a pencil too, just to draw kind of an outline of where your flowers are going to be, all right? To do our piece today, we're going to start out by doing kind of an outline where our flowers are, and then we're going to paint the background of our picture. We're going to do the green leaves, and then we're going to do some of the blue background, and then we're going to focus on the florals, all right? We're going to do a couple of layers on top of the florals, and then we're going to do these kind of additional little bonus flowers in the back, all right? So that's how we're going to do it. I promise you can do it. This is really easy. It's abstract. You're not painting a flower that looks like detailed, or you can see the petals. This is a very loose painting, okay? That's what we call a painting that's just very loose. But generally speaking, you know it's florals, okay? All right, let's jump into it. To get started, I'm going to tape down my paper. Now, you'll notice I kind of made my painting look a little bit like a Polaroid picture. This is kind of a new, shall we say trend? I don't know. It is kind of a new trend in the painting world, is to kind of take a smaller piece of paper like this and make it into kind of a Polaroid shape. You don't have to do this, okay? But if you want to, give it a shot, okay? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tape mine. So what I did was I just taped all three edges, and then I scooted this tape up just a little bit. And I'm actually going to peel this up and move it into my frame just a bit so you guys can see it better. There we go. Hopefully it'll still stick. Yeah. What the tape does is it holds our paper down, and then it gives us a really clean surface to paint on. Or really clean lines when we peel the tape off, and we don't have to worry about getting paint on the edges of our paper. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull my example out over here. Make sure you can see it. And I'm just going to draw three kind of circles where I want these florals, okay? These are really loose circles. They might even overlap, and I kind of have one bigger one medium, and then one small. Okay, that's all we need to do. I'm not going to do anything super detailed or anything. This just gives me an idea of where I'm putting my florals. Now, I'm going to open up my paints here, and I'm going to pull out some of my paints onto my palette. You don't want to mix inside of these wells. You really want to have a palette. So I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm just going to kind of pull my paint off of my brush with my paper towel, pull some green out. I might pull some yellow out, and I might pull some white out. And yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to start with that. I'm I'm gonna need this blue, but not for a minute, so I'm gonna leave that blue in. Okay. Now I'm going to get my brush clean, and we always want to kind of dry our brush a bit. Okay, to start us off, we are going to paint some leaves, and to do that I'm going to bring some blue down and bring some green and make kind of a darker green, like so. And I'm just gonna paint where I think my leaves are gonna go. So I'm gonna paint some leaves here. Okay, here's one leaf. Let's pretend I'm gonna get my brush just a little wet. I like my paint just a little bit loose. I'm gonna paint another leaf here. I might come up here where there's kind of these two circles come together. I'm gonna paint like a leaf right here. And see how I'm just doing kind of a teardrop shape? Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just gonna paint some kind of little leaves coming out here. And this is just my first layer. This is just showing me where my leaves are going to go. And I might pull some green in here and do one right here. Like that. Okay? Alright, so this is kind of generally speaking where my leaves are going to go. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. This is just my first layer. Okay, I'm going to dry my brush off, and then I'm going to bring some of this blue out. Put it over here. And I'm going to paint around the edges where these leaves are before I go in and do my details. Okay. And I'm going to cover up a lot of this, so I'm not super picky about, you know, what it looks like. Really, a lot of this is going to be covered up with smaller flowers. This is just the background. But we got to get that background color on there. Okay. There's that. And this. Just like that. Okay. Just kind of get the excess off my brushes, or my brush here. Cool. Okay, now I'm going to go in with some lighter green, and I'm just going to really make these leaves pop a bit. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to get some of this, and you know, I might bring in some white. Just make that just a little bit lighter. And I might bring some of this in down. Maybe bring this a little darker. And what we're doing is we're just mixing some different hues, and I'm going to use the edge of my brush, the flat edge here, and I'm just bringing some different hues of green into my leaves. You see that? We're just using color theory here and some different hues. See what I can do with this yellow. And I'm just mixing different colors. Use your palette, mix some different colors. If you see like a wide swath of a certain color, you might come over that. Like that. Okay? Okay. So pretty much I have I'm gonna draw this in a little bit. I pretty much have my leaves done and my background done. Now I'm going to focus on my florals. Okay, I'm pulling my pink over to my palette. Now I have all my colors represented on my palette here. And I'm just going to clean my brush off. And honestly, I could probably get fresh water, but I'm not going to. But if you want to get fresh water, go right ahead. Alright, I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm just going to do the plain yellow. And this one is going to be my back flower, my kind of larger flower. And notice I'm just kind of doing this in circular, kind of semicircle motions. Okay. And it's okay if you can see some of this paint through there. We're going to come in on top of this with lots of layers. So don't worry about seeing it too much. There we go. Now I'm going to actually leave this yellow on my brush, and I'm going to pull in some pink and create kind of a peach color. I'm going to bring some white maybe over here. Now I don't want it to be too light because I want to build on top of this color with some lighter layers. Maybe just a tint more pink. Perfect. Oh, that looks great. Just a really peachy look. Peachy color. And I'm just kind of, do you see those little circles? These little semicircles I'm making? Just like that. Just kind of a glob right there. And even if there is a glob, it's okay. There we go. There's our second flower. And then for my third flower, I'm going to clean my brush off. And I'm going to use teal. Okay. So I'm going to bring some of this teal down here. Might even get it just a little bit wet. Some paints are a little wetter than others, and some are a little bit stiffer. So, you know, don't hesitate to add some water to it if you feel like you need to. And I'm just going to do the same thing over here. Kind of do some little circular motions, and see, it's okay if some of that gets caught up in there. Not a problem. Like that. Okay. Now, those are going to kind of begin to dry. The great thing about acrylic paint is acrylic paint dries pretty quickly. Especially when you're doing it on paper and you're doing it in pretty thin layers. Yeah. So, okay. Now I'm going to mix some white over here with some yellow. And I got pink on my finger. Yeah, you can see, good, I'm glad you can see my mixing stuff over here. And I'm just gonna come in and add some, like, dashes? I don't know what you want to call these. Little, and see how I'm going kind of in a circular motion? That's what I want, just like that. Alright, and I'm gonna do the same thing over here with this pink. I'm gonna add some white. I actually might need to pick up some new white. Just going to lighten this a bit, and so this is a whole different kind of color, and I want some of that other peach to shine through. I don't want to just paint right over it. Okay, I'm going to dump some of that off my brush and pick up some white. I'm going to do the same with my blue. I might even pick up some of this blue. Just play around. And then I'm going to do the same here. And see how I'm just kind of spinning my brush? It's not that big of a deal. Okay, now I've got my base for my florals. Oh, shoot. It's okay, I can fix that. I forgot I had that blue paint on there. Let's see if we can pick it up. Ah, I'm gonna have to paint over it. It's okay. This is real life, guys. Real life. There you go. We'll just kind of bring that into the center so add some dimension. Okay, now I'm going to add kind of a center to these flowers, and to do that I'm going to make kind of a purple. So I'm going to bring some blue and some pink together. I'm going to need a lot more pink than that. Make kind of a purple, and I'm just going to go with the tip of my brush, which is this flat edge, and I'm just going to kind of tap, 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 kind of along. Now, you want to do like a circle, because that's what you did when you were little, but that's not what we're doing. We're not doing a circle, we're doing kind of a straight line. Okay, and you kind of want it wider in the middle. I need to leave it alone. So there we go. That's it. That's all you want to do. Okay, that kind of creates a center of your flower. And now we're going to let that dry. And I'm going to clean my brush off. We're going to do these little flowers on the side. These things. Okay, and we're going to come back on top of this, but I want it to be good and dry before we do that. Okay, for this section, we're going to just need white. And I might even get my brush just a little bit wet, so my white is really nice and wet. And I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to kind of just dot little sprigs of these, like, you know, white, like, I think of like baby's breath or something, like that. Okay, you see? Maybe do one or two over here, and then let's do several down here. Okay, yeah, that looks great. Yes, perfect. Now, to go on top of here, I'm just going to take some yellow, and I'm going to pick some of that up and just kind of tap the top of some of these little white, just straight yellow. I'm just kind of tapping, not every one of them, because I'm going to add a different color too, but I'm just coming in here and adding that to it. Then I'm going to do the same with the blue. I'm just going to come in and add the top with some blue. Maybe add some there, like so. And then I'm going to clean my brush off and do some of the peach down here. Do just a couple little peachy ones. Peachy. Like that. Okay, and then I actually might take this peach and kind of tap in to some of these. And then we're going to finish off with white. This is just plain white coming through there. Okay. And just kind of add that there. Okay, that's it. We're done. And because this dries so quickly, I can just, I can just take off the tape right now to show you. So it doesn't look like much right now, but I promise you when this tape comes off, it just pops. Look at that. Oh, it looks so good. I love it. Oops. Ta-da! Ah, that's it. Abstract florals. Well, I call everything abstract when it's not just exact realism, but anyways, this is just an example of some abstract florals using acrylic paint. Super easy, a great way to get your foot in the door with acrylic paints and just give it a try without any pressure to make it perfect, okay? All right, thanks for being creative with me. I'm so glad you're here with me, and I enjoy our time together every time, so I really, truly am grateful for you. All right, we'll see you next time.